Ida killed dozens of people, caused nearly $75 billion worth of damage, and Ida made landfall as a Category 4 storm in Louisiana last August, bringing record rainfall and tornadoes all the way up to the northeast. But Ida will never be a hurricane again because the World Meteorological Organization has retired the name. So our meteorologist John Dawson is live to debrief us on why they retire these names. We know it's usually when they've done something so big.
Yeah.
We'll all remember the name.
And I'm glad you brought up the World Meteorological Organization, because I just want to start by saying I'm asked all the time, who comes up with these names? How do I get my name on the list? You know, I get that asked a lot.
I don't want to be Hurricane Caitlin.
Well, right. But there's the group, the World Meteorological Organization. They're the ones that make the call on that. And yes, they're the ones that make up the names, and they're the ones that retire the names. And if it's too deadly or destructive, they'll retire the name. So that happens usually one, maybe 2 to 3 or every year that could happen if there's deadly and destructive storms that happen out there. So last year we just had one that's going to be retired, and that's Ida. That's what we're going to jump into here. Just a quick kind of reminder of what looked like with Ida. Ida formed down in the southern Caribbean, and then it moved through, and once it got into the Gulf of Mexico, rapid intensification.
So fast.
So quickly up to a Category 4 hurricane. August the 29th is when it made its landfall in Louisiana. And you know, most of the time, this is where you're going to see the worst of what a tropical cyclone brings.
And last year, quite a few of them hit in that same zone.
Oh, right. Yes, several years in a row. It's been really awful. And while this was a significant hurricane for Louisiana, one of the most powerful, intense on its record, which, as you mentioned, there's plenty of them, this system continued to go, and the remnants of it went up and made a major impact
right across
in New England.
Yeah.
And some areas of this part of the country have never had a flood emergency, which is something the National Weather Service issues. It's like even worse than a warning. They've never even had one before. They had 10 inches of rain in just hours, and it was all sorts of problems that it created for this part of the country as well.
Yeah, the videos that we saw of what was happening for New York City in particular, you can see that line drag right down Long Island. You think of New York City and how much of it is underground. And the subway systems in New York are not just kind of underground. They can go 3, 4, 5 floors deep underground. You also have many, many people in New York City who live in apartments that are basement apartments. And JD, many of those are not legal or not, they don't have proper egress. I mean, people are just sort of finding places. And so when the water, as you mentioned, came so fast and started to fill not just the 10 inches on the ground, but you're talking about the water then going down underneath, pushing out walls. I mean, the impact was really shocking, really unbelievable.
And we're, you know, total, this storm is credited with over 100 deaths overall. That includes U.S. and outside the U.S. But in Louisiana, I think there were approximately 30 deaths from this storm, but up into the northeast, it was closer to 50 deaths. So more people died from Ida much later after its landfall up in the northeast than what actually happened where it made its landfall.
So goodbye, Ida. To the history books you go. Now let's talk future weather. Let's talk about us, because we have some while till hurricane season. We want to enjoy some of this nice, calm sunshine that we've had.
Got one more graphic to kind of review a little bit on Ida.
Facts.
We're going to take a quick look. Yeah, just a quick reminder.
This is the when the water cooler stuff to put in your head so you can whip out fun facts with your friends.
This is why it got retired pretty much. It was a Category 4 hurricane, 50 mile an hour winds, 14-foot storm surge. We talked about the deaths, over $75 billion. That makes it the 5th costliest hurricane in U.S. history. So that's definitely going to be something that's remembered. And Imani is going to be the next name replaced. We didn't get into a lot of discussion on that, but they're going to replace it with Imani.
Imani is the new name, and there's 6 years worth of names. They rotate.
Right, that's right. So what happens is there's 6 lists. The World Meteorological Organization comes, and they're rotated every 6 years. So in 2027, when the list that was used last year is used again, Imani will replace Ida as far as the new name that's going to be listed.